There is something strange about human life. Every single day we decide what is good and what is evil, what is just and what is unjust, whom we honor and whom we despise. But have you ever wondered, are these really our decisions? Or does it feel sometimes as if an invisible hand long before we are born had already written everything down? Which feelings we must call noble, which desires must be labeled sin, which impulses we must hide, and which aspirations must be suppressed. And we simply obey those inherited rules as if they were the ultimate truth of life. I am Humayon Kabir, and you are watching The Ethical State. Today we uncover the hidden history of morality through the eyes of Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche believed morality does not fall from the sky, human beings created it. But not merely created, morality was forged in battles of power, in resentments and wounds, in inferiority, fear, revenge, and humanity's ancient struggle for survival. When Nietzsche searched for the true birth of morality, his secret history, his buried roots, he wrote his famous work, A Genealogy of Morality. Genealogy means lineage. Nietzsche didn't want to define morality, he wanted to excavate it. Who gave it birth? Why was it born? And which historical forces shaped our values? To reveal this hidden history, he divided his investigation into three aces, three journeys that together form the genealogy of morality. Essay 1. The Great Reversal of Values. Nietzsche begins with a provocation. Morality was not born from kindness, it was born from conflict. In the ancient world, the strong, the noble, the powerful saw themselves as good. For them, good meant courage, vitality, strength, achievement, and bad simply mean weak, ordinary, unimpressive, something without power. This was master morality, the morality of life, growth, expansion. But the weak, the oppressed, the powerless, they could never win in open battle. So they fought a different war, a psychological war. They reversed the meaning of morality. As Nietzsche writes, only those who suffer are good, only the humble are virtuous, only the powerless are pure. Strength became evil, power became corruption, joy became sin. This was the revenge of the powerless, not with weapons, but with values. And the most powerful weapon of this moral revolution was a myth they created, a story that promised the weak a victory beyond this world. The myth of heaven and hell. Nietzsche explains that the weak, unable to win in this life, created a new battlefield, the afterlife, a place where all their frustrations would finally be reversed. Heaven became the kingdom where the powerless would at least be rewarded, and hell became the great courtroom where the strong, the successful, the joyful would finally be punished. In this myth, the weak become kings and the strong are thrown into fire. The story is simple. We cannot defeat you now, but you will pay later. This myth turned resentment into a cosmic law, and that moral reversal shaped the entire direction of human history. Let's move to his second essay, The Birth of Guilt. In the second essay, Nietzsche goes deeper into the psychological machinery that makes morality possible. He argues guilt is not natural, it's a historical invention, and its birth happened through three long transformations. Stage 1. The debtor-creditor origin of guilt. Primitive societies taught people to make promises. I will do this, I will repay that, I will fulfill this duty. From this, early humans learned a feeling. When I fail, I am at fault. A financial idea slowly became a moral feeling. Debt turned into fault, punishment became repayment, honor became credit. In the beginning, guilt lived outside in the threat of violence, pain, or compensation. But soon, it started sinking deeper. Stage 2. Punishment turns inward, the birth of bad conscience. As societies became stricter, as laws and order grew stronger, humans lost the freedom to express their natural aggression. The predator was put in a cage. But instinct does not die. It changes direction. It turns inward. The aggression you once aimed at others, you now aim at yourself. This, Nietzsche says, is the birth of bad conscience, a cruelty turned inward, a self-punishment born from trapped instinct. You cannot express strength outward, so you attack yourself inwardly. Your desires becomes shame, your power becomes fear, your vitality becomes guilt. Humans became their own jailers. Stage 3. Instinct becomes sin. At this stage, Nietzsche says, man turned against himself with the fury of the wild beast. Society and later religion declared, your desire is sin, your pleasure is dangerous, your instincts betray you. Everything that makes life rich became suspicious. Everything that makes life vibrant became forbidden. The result? Humanity learned to hate its own nature. We became judge, prosecutor, and executioner inside our own soul. Let's step into his third essay, the place where guilt becomes an institution, the business of guilt. Nietzsche's final revelations is chilling. Once guilt is born inside the soul, someone learns how to profit from it. Institutions, especially religious institutions, discovered that guilt is not just emotion. It is a resource, a technology of control, a spiritual economy. They turned guilt into a system that feeds on fear, desire, weakness, and the constant feeling that you are never good enough. But Nietzsche unmasks this system by revealing its three phases, three psychological engines that keeps guilt alive. The first phase, resentment as the fuel. The weak cannot change their reality, so they create a moral universe that punishes the strong and glorifies the powerless. This resentment becomes the battery that keeps guilt alive. It tells the powerless you are morally superior and tells the powerful you should feel ashamed. Through this reversal, resentment becomes righteousness, weakness becomes virtue, and the instinct for strength is treated as a sin. This is the emotional engine that morality secretly runs on. The second phase, how institutions profited from guilt. Nietzsche shows how institutions took this emotional fuel and turned it into an industry. They taught people to see pleasure as a threat. They glorified self-denial as moral superiority. They framed suffering as a path of purity, and they branded human instinct itself as something corrupt and dangerous. Every natural impulse became a liability. Every joy became a trap. Every human instinct became a crime that only the institutions could forgive. This guilt turned into business, a moral economy where institutions sell forgiveness, purity, salvation, all built on the suffering they themselves intensify. Humans learned to fear their own nature, and institutions offered redemption at a price. The third phase, self-dying. Nietzsche says that in the deepest layers of our moral history, there emerges a strange and tragic transformation, a morality that does not teach us how to live but how to slowly erase ourselves. This is the self-dying phase of morality. It begins with a simple psychological trait. Your instincts are rebranded as danger, your desires are renamed as sin, your natural strength becomes a source of suspicion, and your joy is treated as if it were something shameful. Under this morality, you are not asked to grow, you are asked to shrink, you are not asked to expand, you are asked to tighten, to contract, to dry up from the inside. Every vibrant impulse becomes a problem to be fixed, every natural feeling becomes a warning sign. You start treating yourself not as a living being but as a criminal you must keep under surveillance. And slowly the soul loses its color. the inner world becomes pale, thin, afraid. A person begins to live not with vitality but with caution, not with courage but with guilt. Nietzsche calls this process a spiritual suicide, a morality that kills the soul drop by drop in the name of being good. This is the third phase, a morality that does not guide you toward life but toward disappearance, a moral system that teaches you how to live your own life long before your body dies. And Nietzsche's final question is the one we must all face. Are your values truly helping you live or teaching you to slowly disappear from your own life? I am Humayon Kabir and you have been watching The Ethical State, where we think beyond belief. If this journey into Nietzsche's world gave you something new to think about, consider subscribing. Until next time, keep questioning.